Answer on this one is B. Answer is C. Answer on this one is A. Answer on this one is B. Pick a number from 1 to 20. The winning numbers today are 2, 6, 9, 12, and 19. Homework check. Bring it up here and show me what you have. The objective today is to simplify radical expressions. Example 1, a review from yesterday. 4 square root of 32. You can break up the square root of 32 as 16 and 2. The square root of 16 is 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 square root of 2 is the answer. Do not write your answer like this. The sign is not needed. It's 16 square root of 2. If any of your answers come out to, for example, 3 square root of 2, do not write it as square root of 3 square root of 2. Once you find the square root of something, the sign is gone. It does not stick around later on in the problem. Here's example number 2. 5 square root of 80. The highest perfect square that goes into 80 is 16. That breaks up as 16 and 5. The square root of 16 is 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. Your final answer is 20 square root of 5. Once you know that the square root of 80 breaks up as 16 and 5, you should remember that. It should not be a struggle to find this later on. It's still going to be 16 and 5. It does not change. And you can even remember further that it breaks up to 4 square root of 5 from 80. So you should not be wasting time struggling to solve this time and time again. It's still the same thing. It's no different than knowing square root of 9 is 3. It doesn't change. You don't have to calculate it every time. Once you know that this is 3, just write it down. You shouldn't have to think about it. The solution here is to break up the square root of 96 as 16 and 6. Square root of 16 is 4. That will give us 24 square root of 6. The square root of 120 breaks up as 4 and 30. So 6 times 2 square root of 30 is 12 square root of 30. Example 3. In this case, you have a square root under a fraction in the denominator. You cannot have that. You have to simplify it by getting rid of it from the denominator. To do that, you multiply the top and the bottom of the fraction by that item on the bottom, the square root of 3. So on the top, you would have 2 square root of 48. That comes from 16 and 3. On the bottom, the square root of 3 times itself is 3. Any square root times itself is the number under the square root sign. You do not write the square root sign here. Now see if you can simplify the square root of 48 on the top. So 2 square root of 16 square root of 3 will accomplish that. That's 2 times 4 square root of 3, which is 8 square root of 3 over 3. Example 4. 3 square root of 10 over square root of 2. You must multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2. When you do that, you get 3 square root of 20 on the top and simply 2 on the bottom. Now try to simplify the square root of 20. That is square root of 4 square root of 5 over 2. That's 3 times 2 square root of 5 over 2. Before you multiply the 3 and the 2 together on the top, notice that the 2's cancel out. So you're left with 3 square root of 5 for your final answer. Try this one and bring it up. You have to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 6. That will give you 5 square root of 72 over 6. The square root of 72 breaks up as 36 and 2. And that would be 5 times 6 square root of 2, which simplifies down to 30 square root of 2 over 6, but 30 over 6 is 5. 5 square root of 2 is the answer. Multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 6 to get 3 square root of 12 over 6. Break up the 12 as 4 and 3. And that'll give you 3 times 2 in that spot, which becomes 6 square root of 3 over 6. The 6 is canceled, so it's just square root of 3. Multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 10 to get 3 square root of 50 over 10. 50 breaks up as 25 and 2. So 3 times 5 from that. That will be 15 square root of 2 over 10. But the 15 and the 10 can reduce. 5 into that 3 times and into this twice. So 5 square root of 2 over 2 is the answer. Well, it should be 3 square root of 2 over 2. I think I said 3 square root of 2 over 2, but I wrote 5 for some reason.